made the mistake of entering into a partnership with John Hafner, and I've been trying to navigate his river of lies, deceit, and ever-changing stories ever since.
And we still are partners.
You got an insurance payout to fix the camera. You're literally sitting on a pile of $13,000.
He totaled my car. He fell asleep at the wheel.
I did not fall asleep at the wheel. I passed out a little bit and I kind of touched the car a little bit. Our car wasn't really damaged.
You didn't fall asleep, what happened?
No, I didn't fall asleep. Actually,
Plaintiff Michael Solomon claims his former business partner's lazy behavior killed their business. He's suing for $5,000 for breach of contract. Defendant John Hafner claims he's already paid the plaintiff more than his fair share of their business profits. He says he owes him nothing more.
Case 55 on the docket, Solomon versus Hafner.
Okay, thank you. And welcome, guys. The plaintiff, Mr. Solomon, you are suing the defendant, Mr. Hafner, in the amount of $5,000 for breach of contract.
Correct, Your Honor.
What is your case?
4 years ago, Your Honor, I made the mistake of entering into a partnership with John Hafner, and I've been trying to navigate his river of lies, deceit, and ever-changing stories ever since. In February 2014, I first met John Hafner. I was shooting a music video and hired him as a gaffer for my music video. And he did a great job. He's very good at what he does. At the time, he owned a camera called the Red Scarlet. It's an entry-level cinema camera. And he wanted to upgrade to a top-of-the-line model called the Red Dragon. It's very expensive, $22,000, and he was looking for someone to partner with. And given our professional and personal relationship up to that point, I figured, hey, why not? You know, we can make some money together. So in September, we signed a ownership agreement that was very detailed things like how rental payments would be broken down, who would store the camera, insurance requirements, everything was laid out, and we got the camera.
How did you split it in terms of when you were called on an assignment?
So it was a partnership on the camera itself. So we would go out, and if we got hired on a job, we would rent our camera on the job to try and get us more work. So if he rented it on a job, he would get 67% of it. Because he owned a lot of accessories. I just owned part of the camera.
Yeah.
So if it was his job, he would get 67%, I would get 33%. And then if it was my job, where I sourced the actual rental, we would split it 50-50.
So now what's the problem?
In December of 2015,
Yeah.
John took the camera to Thailand to shoot a festival.
Yes.
At which point, while he was there, both his camera and apparently other cameras were damaged by lasers at a light show. The sensor itself got hit with a laser, fried some pixels on the sensor, so you could see it in the image at that point. I didn't know any of this. For a 4-month period, I hadn't touched the camera. So in April, I took the job out for one of my biggest clients. And I mean, they were my biggest client. They accounted for almost all of my income. And I did a 2-week shoot for them. Everything I had shot for them had this issue present in the footage.
So what are you suing him for?
After insurance paid out and everything, he's still to this day has
insurance payment.
We did. They paid out $15,000. They paid $10,000 in damage.
Your Honor, that's incorrect. I have the actual payment.
Okay.
The actual payment was $13,000,
Yes.
of which we split $2,500.
And what about the rest of
The
it?
remainder was allocated towards upgrading the camera or possibly fixing it, and that was an ongoing conversation.
What the lawsuit is about is you're suing him specifically for $5,000 for a breach of the contract. What is the breach you're talking about?
So after 2.5 years of this investment just being dead and him sitting on this money, I offered him a chance to buy me out.
Was there an agreement as to what the terms of a buyout would be?
So in the original ownership agreement, I basically was trying to be as generous as I possibly could to try and get it done. So I offered him $5,500 over 9 months. And in addition to that, I gave him the ability to have a late payment twice.
You, John, would buy Michael out for the sum of $5,500 to be paid over 9 months beginning October 1st of 2018. There would be 9 equal payments, $611.11. You're saying that you got one payment of $611.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which by itself is some admission that this was a buyout agreement that you were agreed to. But other than that, the other payments haven't been made. And so how far behind is he in payments?
As of now, it would be he's missed 6 payments.
Is there any other evidence that he agreed to this buyout?
He agreed via email, and then I also have text messages where I believe on the second
Where he
payment,
answers, looks good, bro, let's be friends again soon.
Correct.
This part seems pretty clear cut. He wants you to buy him out.
I didn't agree to these provisions. I agreed to be friends and try to pay him. We had a phone call shortly before this email where I said, I will try to pay you monthly.
We had
if
no
I
phone
can.
calls. I told you I wanted things in writing because I
Okay.
literally did not trust anything you would say over phone. And I
And-
had that in an email that I sent you as well.
So when we initially started doing business in the company, which I had been operating for several years, I had $72,000 in equity, and he came in with an $11,000 equity stake and got very advantaged terms. And in the first year, he made $15,000 in direct revenue, and everything was fine. So the first year, our business was doing great. Now, the second, third, and fourth and a half years, the business did bad. We lost money. The camera depreciated in value. He's asking me to take all those losses on my own and pay for all the business expenses year over year and not be a partner in that, but he wants to share in whatever money he thinks he's owed. He says $5,500, which I don't think is a fair amount because, one, the camera's not worth that much. It's broken.
Why would you say looks good, bro?
Well,
I mean, because
I didn't read it. I was busy on set. I thought I could pay him a little money and everything might be better soon. And when I had time to think about it and go through the quarterly by quarterly revenue statements and see that I already paid him $15,000 in profit in the first year.
it sounds like clearly he was carrying the heaviest burden of the company. So
Some of the things he just stated are factually
Yeah.
false, though. In terms of the personal insurance, I actually helped pay the premium, which in the ownership agreement, I'm not even responsible for. He's solely responsible for personal insurance.
He paid
and I
half the
contributed.
premium, I agree,
Okay.
And-
for one of the 4 years. The next
Yes,
3 years
the
I
year
paid it all. And
after
I
the
paid
camera
for
was
everything else.
broken, I no longer contributed to an insurance
why did you
premium.
make the payment?
In good
why,
faith.
Why did you make the payment if he wasn't?
I kept paying him his share of the revenue because we were technically partners and we still are partners. So
But
I was
John,
trying to be nice.
you
and
got
give
an
him some money.
insurance payout to fix the camera. You're literally sitting
Why
on a
did you
pile
pay
of
the
$13,000.
$611 in the first place?
To try to get on good terms with him. And I thought I could maybe keep up those payments. But
Okay,
when I
but
looked through all the money that he had made and looked how much money I was spending every year and he wasn't contributing, I realized he actually owed me $4,000 to $5,000.
But in fact, there were another 2 weeks before you decided to write him the check. In that 2 weeks, you had a chance to read this whole agreement. So I gotta say, legally, you agreed to this. And the evidence of it is not just saying, yeah, it looks good, but in fact, 2 weeks later, after having an opportunity to look at this more closely, you agreed to it. I also believe that you did the heavy lifting with the company, and I think that's one of the reasons he probably wants out, because it's more your company than it's his. But I'm willing to say this, because of this obvious not getting along, not everything is crystal clear, that for the remaining 8 months, with $611, the judgment is for the plaintiff in the sum of $4,888.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm happy it's done. It's been a long time coming. It's been almost 3 years now, and I'm just happy it's resolved and we'll be hiving.
It's making revenue. He doesn't want to be a part of the business, which is fine.
Plaintiff Tenaja Brown claims her mom's boyfriend borrowed her car and then totaled it when he fell asleep at the wheel. She's suing for $750 for car damages. Defendant Steve John claims the plaintiff's car was already a wreck and he's already given her the money. He says he's not giving her any
It's
more.
case number 101 on the docket, Brown versus John.
Thanks, Najee.
You're welcome, Judge.
We have the plaintiff, Ms. Brown. You are suing the defendant, Mr. John, for $750 for car damages. What's the story?
I'm suing him because he totaled my car and we made an agreement that he didn't honor.
What was he doing driving your car?
He asked me in May of last year if he could use my car.
Your Honor, that's not true. I
Okay,
didn't
you're going
ask
to get
him.
a chance.
He asked if he could borrow the car for about a month until he was able to get his car back on the road. On the day of the accident, I believe it was May 24th of last year, he fell asleep at the wheel.
I did not fall asleep at the wheel.
Okay, well, I'm going to give
It
you
was actually a medical emergency.
Okay, I'm going to hear all about it.
My mother, who was the passenger, she had to take control of the wheel.
Yeah.
And She ended up hitting a car that must have been coming into their lane and also hit a guardrail. When the ambulance came, they ended up leaving the car on the highway and going to the hospital. But when we got there, the car was no longer there. The car ended up getting towed.
So the car was totaled, you're saying?
Yes, it was.
Is that what you're suing for, the amount?
Yes.
And the amount of the total car, $750?
Yes, it is.
What kind of car was it?
It was a 2001 Buick Century.
Oh, okay.
Wow, Your Honor, the car
Yeah, that's
doesn't look
hard to-
that bad.
It doesn't look that bad?
because it looked a little bit like that when we was driving it. That dent been there. That dent was there before when we was driving the car.
If the car was that damaged, why would I let you get on the road and drive it? You
But
wasn't
there's cars
local.
out
You
there that look
drove
like that
to
that
work
drove.
all the way upstate. Why would I let you drive a car that
But Your Honor,
was too damaged?
there's cars out there that look worse than that's on the road.
You didn't fall asleep, what happened?
No, I didn't fall asleep. Actually, we was on the road driving. Me and my girlfriend was in the heated.
Which is your mom, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we was in the heated conversation, and I caught a hypoglycemic episode at the wheel.
Oh,
and
you're diabetic.
you know, my blood sugar dropped.
Yeah.
You know, I'm diabetic. Been diabetic for over 20 years.
Okay, sorry.
And had a hypoglycemic episode where I passed out a little bit, and I bumped into I think it was like the side, and
You had an accident?
I mean, I kind of touched the car a little bit. Her car wasn't really damaged, but you know.
The car is...
So then who damaged the car like that? I didn't damage the car like that when I picked it up from the tow company.
The guardrail damaged the car. It wasn't me.
Oh, we got to get...
The guardrail.
You had an incident, which people can
And yeah, she-
understand.
like-
Your girlfriend grabbed to basically save your life, and there was an accident. You want to come forward, please? And your name is?
Yes, my name is Kim Bowden.
Okay, and nice to have you with us. You are her mom
yes.
and his girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
On the way to work, May 24th, me and him was about to get on the parkway, and we got into this conversation, and he just was like, oh, I don't feel well. And the next thing you know, the car just swerved, and we went to the right, and I'm like, babe, are you okay? And I'm thinking he's gonna come back, and then he's like trying to get back on the highway, and then I had to grab the wheels, like put my foot on his foot to stop the brakes so we sideswiped
Sure.
someone else's car, you know, just on the back, just a little dent. You know, thank God everyone was okay. But as far as the money that she's asking for, this car is not worth it at all. Not no $750, no.
You did not tell me that the car was damaged. You had your son, which is my brother, tell me, even though I gave you permission of my car and my keys, that the car was damaged. It wasn't until we got to the tow company that I found out that the car was totaled. He said, I'll give you $850. I didn't ask him for that much. I didn't insinuate or anything. He said that out his mouth, and he signed an agreement, which I have right here,
let's look at the
that
agreement.
states that he would pay me $850.
There
He
you
only
go.
gave me $100. That leaves $750 left.
All right, so
what he said.
Hang on, ma'am.
So that's how we got the $750.
Okay, but at the time, he didn't know about Kelly Blue Book, which your car value is worth.
So then he shouldn't have
Okay,
said
but-
what he would give me before
But Your Honor-
before he investigated how
But
much the car
Your
was worth
Honor-
and how much he could afford to
Okay,
give
and
me.
you're right
he
about
said
that.
and he signed an agreement.
Okay, you're correct, but
Your Honor, after that, we made a verbal agreement on the phone. Because
I have the text message that you're speaking about, where you said that you would pay me the
listen to
$750, and you
both.
did it.
I told her that me and her mom gave her $600 because her car got towed a
Yes,
week
before
prior.
that.
You did
the
not say
accident.
that to me.
We
Ma'am,
gave her
let him finish, let him
$600.
finish.
I gave her $100, which she just claimed, and I gave her baby daddy an extra $100 that he probably didn't even tell her about.
Okay.
So that's more than $750 right there.
You did sign this agreement. It says here, this written form serves as an agreement between both of you for the monetary reimbursement of an automobile. Steve John has agreed to compensate Tenaja Brown $850 in weekly increments of $100 beginning October 19th of 18 until the obligation is paid in full. The payment schedule may be altered via verbal or text message communication. To protect the integrity of both parties, Steve John will make the payments in the form of money orders to Tenaja Brown. Okay, so you've agreed to pay her $850 here, and in the interim, $100, and you say maybe $200 was paid.
we paid $600 previous to the accident, a week before the accident, for her car.
Got that. That's a separate issue right now.
Okay.
Okay. So starting with this, we have the $750, which you agreed to pay her for whatever damage was done to that car. So the only question left is now the separate issue of you paying off some parking tickets she had to the tune of $600.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay. Was that a loan, or was that a we'll
Yes,
take care
that
of
was
it?
a loan.
That was a
Do
loan.
we have any documents that that was a loan?
No,
we don't have no
anything
documents
because this is
Did they say that they're
This
going
was
to loan
cash.
you the money
No.
and you would pay them back?
As far as the parking tickets,
Yes.
at the time, my mother had permission to drive my car. When she had it, it was towed. My mother loaned me less than $600 so that I
Less than what did it
so
come up to?
that
Let her
I can
finish,
pay the
man.
parking tickets. Steve didn't give any money towards any parking tickets.
Okay, so that's between you and your mom.
Yes.
And that's a separate incident between you two.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
it came
that's
out of
the
pocket.
right.
The judge
But
is talking.
you are suing Steve. You're a witness for that, but you're suing Steve for this, the defendant Steve. That is all that is before the court in this lawsuit.
Okay, but some of that money was part of his money, the $600. She didn't know where it all came from.
I have
It
the
doesn't-
text
I made
messages.
sure she had an emergency.
Okay.
I got the money.
Steve
I gave it to
agreeing to
her.
pay me the $750.
Wait a second. First of all, you guys
She
are
is
all
very
family.
disrespectful, Your
Right.
You
Honor.
guys, okay, you guys
She's
are
even telling
family.
the- She's very
Here's
disrespectful.
okay, and you're being disrespectful, interrupting the court.
I'm
So
sorry,
stop it.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I
Okay,
apologize.
you're mother and daughter. This is family. So here's the deal. The only lawsuit I have, I'm not saying that the $600 shouldn't be paid back because, frankly, you said it was a loan. And I don't care where the money came from. Mom, you loaned her the money. Doesn't matter what source of your money was, whether you got it from a bank or from your boyfriend. You loaned her the money. That's a separate item that is not before this court. All I have before me is she's suing for the $750 that is remaining on what you promised to pay for the damage to the car. Mom and daughter, you work out what happened with the parking tickets. That's a separate issue. But on this lawsuit, where she's suing you for $750, what you both agreed to, judgment for the plaintiff for $750.
She knew that there was an agreement, and she knew that she should have told him, well, speak to my daughter and see if you guys can come to another agreement that, will be honored this time.
She's just so disrespectful. I don't know how
Yes,
she was.
very. She knew what it was. For her to come in and tell me she wanted to sue him for $750, sweetie, we broke even. You actually got a little extra from us. You owe us some money.
Thanks for watching. Now please approach the bench. The way I look at it, you have two options here. Option A, watch more Judge Jerry. Option B, watch more Jerry Springer. The choice is yours. Now get out of my courtroom. You have more clips to watch. And don't forget to subscribe.